This world was dead. No animals, no trees, at least until now, because we've brought life back. And in today's video, we're taking it even further by reviving extinct animals, by upgrading our beautiful base, and of course, we're gonna dabble in a little plant magic and machine because I want to bring life back to this world at least one plant at a time. Hey, we may even build a big, beautiful tree. Ladies and gentlemen, join me for another 100 days in the mod, Reclamation. You want to play mod packs with friends, but you can't seem to find a good server. And the free ones? With the big mod packs these days, free servers are just too laggy. Luckily for you, there's BISECT hosting. They host my server, and with plenty of affordable options, they can host your server too. And the best part is, they support almost every mod pack. Use code Doublesal at checkout for 25% off your first order. BISECT hosting, a great site for great servers. Welcome back. It's good to have you here back where it all started, here on our humble little farm, where we're going to work hard to restore this wasteland of a world. But to do that, we have to grow a special type of plant. And I'm not talking about your run-of-the-mill crops. I'm talking about a plant that grows a very important material, iron. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be making iron plants. And to do that, we have to craft iron seeds. But making iron seeds is quite the process. First, we need a material called tertium, and tertium itself is a very complicated item to make. You have to use the Runic altar, which we made last time, plus you need a lot of mana. So we better get started. The first thing I wanted to make was a coal dropper, so I put together all of the materials to make one of the most basic redstone machines for Botania. You put a pressure plate down along with an open crate, then you set up some redstone along with a hopper, and essentially what this machine does is it drops charcoal in little intervals. Once the charcoal drops, the endo flames burn it up, and then from there the material is converted into mana. So, automatic mana. Now that that was taken care of, all we had to do was provide a steady supply of charcoal. And to do that, we were going to have to chop down a lot of trees. The problem was that this process was too slow. I needed a lot of logs, and chopping trees down wasn't going to cut it. So I had to make wood seeds. With wood seeds, we'd be able to grow as many logs as necessary. We'd have to perform a nature ritual, and then grow the seeds. That way they drop something called wood essence. First, I had to make the ingredients to perform the ritual, that ingredient being prudentium. And then once I had the prudentium, I had to make something called prosperity seeds, which would act as the base for the ritual. 4 shards and some wheat seeds. Then I gathered some saplings, and with that I had all the ingredients I needed. So I went to the infusion altar, placed the items down, and then I began the ritual. Once all of the items were combined, all that was left were wood seeds. I had to clear up space to plant the new seeds, so I broke up the dirt plants we made in the last video, and then I added some crop sticks, that way we could multiply these wood seeds. Once the wood seeds multiplied, all that was left to do was to max them out. Speaking of maxing things out, why don't you max out the hype button? I know you only get 3 hypes a week, but why not use them all on this video? Anyways, that's enough begging. After multiplying the wood plant, I wanted to collect the essence to see how it worked. Turns out you can craft different types of logs depending on the orientation of the essence on the crafting grid. But in the end, the type of wood didn't matter so long as it burned into charcoal. Just in case you don't recall, you can actually level up seeds through a process called crossbreeding. All you gotta do is plant 2 of the same seeds next to each other, water them, and then a third plant will grow, hopefully one with superior genetics. Once you have these seeds maxed out, you can harvest way more from them than your run-of-the-mill vanilla plants. Now that we had the wood essence, we could make as much charcoal as we needed, but the furnaces were too slow to burn the wood, so I needed another machine, one that would do all of this faster and for free. This was a mechanical fan, and once we crafted the fan blades, we'd be able to cook all of our wood. But first, I had to take an elevator ride all the way down to the bedrock level to get myself some iron. This was a small stash I stowed away last time, and it was all I had, so I was gonna have to make the most of it. Once I collected the iron, it was back to the surface, and when I returned, I went to the crafting table and crafted some iron plates. Next, with the plates, I crafted some fan blades. Now that the fan blades were made, we needed a box to store all of these components, so obviously, we had to make andesite casings. With the andesite casings complete, it was time to combine all of the items to make our encased fan. With the fan now crafted, all I needed was a lava source, that way it could blow heat onto the wood, converting it into charcoal. So I wandered the wasteland until I found a lava pool nearby. All I had was 1 bucket, but in the end that's really all you need. With my bucket of lava and my fan, it was time to put the two together to make myself a charcoal maker. So I set up the fan, and once the blades were spinning around, I added the lava. When you combine the two, you basically make a standstill flamethrower. And with that type of heat, you're able to cook stacks of logs into charcoal in no time. The charcoal machine was complete, which meant it was finally time to load up the mana machine with all the charcoal we could make. So I went to the farm, harvested a ton of wood essence, about a stack's worth of the stuff. Then I crafted them into stacks of logs. Once they were burned up into charcoal, I took the stacks, made my way back to the botany setup that we had, and added them to the mana machine. Once they were added, we had a steady flow of mana. In fact, we had so much mana that the pool was full, so I had to make a separate tank so that we could store the extra supply. This was called a mana tablet, and with it we could basically have portable mana wherever we went. Like a sponge, the tablet soaked up tons of mana, which meant we had reserves for our crafting recipe, which called for nether essence and ice essence. To get that, you needed a nether plant. To craft the seeds, you needed this agglomeratio, which required nether warts, a plant that we don't have, but we can make. All we had to do was get brown mushrooms and red mushrooms. Now I know that seems like a lot of information, but with our handy dandy 3-in-1 tool known as a paxel, we're gonna breeze right through it. The first thing we have to do is prep the dirt so we can grow red mushrooms. And to get red mushroom spores, you need carrot seeds along with some mandrake seeds. Plant both of the seeds down, leave a gap between the two, and once you water, you get mushroom spores. Or red mushrooms, whatever you want to call them. It's time to move on because we gotta make the brown mushrooms. The process is similar, but instead of carrot seeds, we need potato seeds, plus more mandrake. Once you combine the two, you get the brown mushroom variant, which means we are only one step away from getting the nether wart. The next step was the easiest of them all. All I had to do was prep the soil one more time, then gather each of the red and brown mushrooms. Then combine the two to make nether wart. Eventually a nether wart spore grew, so I took it to the nether. Reason being, it will only grow on soul sand. So once I collected some soul sand and some soul soil, I went back to the overworld. Now that I had the blocks in hand, it was time to grow the nether wart, which it did. Once the nether wart was grown, we finally had one more ingredient to make our agglomeratio. All we were missing now were the nether bricks. So I took some netherrack, cooked it in our new fire machine, and once it was converted into bricks, I took them, made them into blocks, and now we could craft our required ingredients in order to make our beautiful nether essence seeds. All of the ingredients were combined at the infusion altar, leaving only the nether seeds. I planted them, watered them, and then collected the essence. And now that we had that, it was time for the next ingredient, ice essence, which was a little tricky to make. Reason being, we needed blue ice. And the only way to get blue ice is if you have packed ice. And to get packed ice, you need regular ice. And to get regular ice, you need lots of snowballs, which you craft into snow blocks, which crafts into ice blocks. The problem is that it takes 9 ice blocks to make 1 packed ice, and 9 packed ice to make a single blue ice block. That's a lot of snowballs. Thankfully, I have a solution, in the form of a beautiful frosty friend. We were gonna make a snow golem. This was something I haven't done in a long time, but with a little creativity, even a snow golem can be converted into an automated machine. So I got some glass, made myself a little box for my new friend, brought him to life, and now all I had to do was collect the snow under his feet. It was a little tricky trying to get him to agree to the arrangement, but eventually he settled in quite nicely. Now it was time to collect the snow. Unfortunately, his hitbox was a little jankier than I thought, so that idea was out the window. Instead, I planted more of the snowballs in hopes of getting as many snowballs as possible. Once I had enough, I crafted a machine called a mechanical press to press the snow blocks down into ice. With what I thought was a lot of snow blocks at the time, I threw each stack into the mechanical press's basin where it was converted into ice blocks. But not that many, because in the end, I had nowhere near the amount I needed for my blue ice, so I was going to have to find a more efficient way to generate ice. That was going to be quite the process. So we're going to have to take a slight detour. Getting ice is taking way too long, though there are better avenues to do it. For starters, melting and stamping. Sounds a little counterintuitive, right? Well, making these 3 machines is essential if you want to get fast ice. We need from left to right a melter, a stamper, and a stamp base. Reason being, all of this is going to lead to the creation of making a blaze rod, which we'll then use to make brewing stands, which can be used in the creation of an alchemy catalyst. And with an alchemy catalyst, we can convert 1 snow block into 1 ice block instead of having to use 9 snow blocks to make the 1. So we need blaze rods. On my quest to making blaze rods, I wanted to complete a quest that was just sitting there, and to do that quest, I had to make a kettle. It was kind of expensive for something I'd never used, but all for the sake of cleaning up my skill tree. With that out of the way, it was finally time to get serious and do a little more from the Embers mod. This task was called melting and stamping. To do that, I needed a few machines. Let's go ahead and craft the first machine, the melter. Thank God we can craft sand and dirt now thanks to the essence we've been farming. Go ahead and break this clay up into clay balls. Combine the sand and the clay to make caminite. Next, we gotta craft ourselves some caminite plates, 4 caminite blends in a square. And now, I want to try something new. Oh, I see some fire particles, that's a good sign. This was such a good investment, saved so much time. Uh-oh. Are you wearing netherite? Oh my god, give me my stuff. These guys are geared up. Somebody told me if that I convert the husk into a zombie and then a drown, it will drop the armor. While I tried that, it didn't work, so I'm just gonna go ahead and kill them. Shame. Ow. Ow! Oh my god, how did you get in? No way, he actually dropped a piece of the armor. Refined obsidian. Well, better than nothing. Before I was rudely interrupted, we were cooking caminite blends. There we go. Okay, so we have our bricks, we have our plates. Let's make a melter. Craft some caminite bricks. And now we have all of the items necessary to make our melter. Okay, another Embers machine. So I think we're gonna go ahead and put it right here next to, what was this called again? The hearth coil. Hearth coil? Hearth coil? Potato potato. We're not gonna figure this out just yet. We have 2 more things to make. Next is the stamper. 6 caminite bricks, a copper ingot, and a block of iron. Yes, a block of iron. I'm gonna actually have to make some more iron the old way, and I hate doing it this way because it takes so long, plus I have to rebuild this little incubation system because a creeper blew it up. Time to get the iron ingredients. So this is going to take a while. Okay, this is taking way too long, so I'm just gonna make 2 of these. So to speed things up, I crafted a few more items just to upgrade my setup. Nothing big, just some nice add-ons. God, this is such a process. So, just a refresher, this is called an incubator, and these 3 chambers down here store the ingredients I have in my hotbar. First one, you put the alchemical sulfur in here, the essence of iron essentially. Next, you put the mercury right here. Lastly, the salt, which took the longest to get. And then the iron's gonna pop out right there. All you have to do is start the fire. With the items combined in the incubator, it eventually spat out 36 ingots. I'll be frank with you folks, I did not expect this one process to automate iron to require so many detours. Okay, we have a stamper. Simpler than I imagined. With the melter and the stamper, all we need now is the stamp base. Thank God this one is not as expensive. So I am assuming that this goes down here. Before we figure out how that whole thing works over there, let's go ahead and make some charcoal because we're going to need to mine more ember. Okay, 3 stacks of charcoal. Let's enter the abyss. Here it is, the Ember Boar. This thing mines ember, an orange shard that comes from the bedrock layer, which is used to power all of these machines. Simple as putting the charcoal in the item hopper, and then the boar comes to life. And this is going to run as long as we have charcoal in this machine. And there's the fuel right there, ember. This is going to be a while, so we'll just leave it alone. Just wanted to start making more fuel for this because now we have to power the stamper upstairs. So from my understanding, we put the ember down here, and then the metals, they melt up here. As for the stamper, it's set to leave a 1-gap block of air, so we'll do just that. Yeah, that makes sense. So this is going to come down and stamp the metal into, I guess, a tool or a different type of ingot. Okay, we'll go ahead and give this a try. Then I'll put the iron in here, and I think it's melting. Yes, it's smoking from the top. Something is definitely taking place here. Oh, there it is, molten iron. And then to convert them back into ingots, we have to make these casts out of more Caminite blends. 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple as that. We have our raw ingot stamp. Let's go ahead and smelt that in the furnace there. Now we have the ingot stamp. So, I think we just put it here. So far, so good. But I'm going to go ahead and attach this with a fluid pipe. So this is going to extract the molten iron up there, through this pipe, and into the stamp base. And I think it's just as simple as the flip of a switch. So it looks like the molten iron is inside the stamp base. Now we just have to activate the stamper. Okay, so it's sending power to the stamper now. And I think all we have to do is flip the lever. Oh, geez, there we go. That is fast. And like that, we got our 3 iron ingots back. Alright, not bad. So now that we have a way to melt down and mix metals, it's time to create a new type of ingot. This one is called Dawnstone. And Dawnstone is a combination of copper and gold. But to do that, we need another machine. This one called a mixer centrifuge. It's going to mix the metals together and make Dawnstone. I added a couple of emitters and dials and let the machines run. That way they could be charged up the next time I needed them. Here are all of the ingredients you need. You need 5 iron plates, 2 iron ingots, 1 copper, and then a mechanical core. So with that, we have our mixer centrifuge. And look at that. It is 2 blocks high. Nice. So how do I want to set this up? We're going to have to do a little bit of rearranging. So this has to be in the middle. This is obviously the center of the whole operation, right here. I got a melter right there. The question is, can the melter hold 2 different types of metal? Or is it only 1 metal per melter? I'm going to run on the assumption that it's 1 metal per melter, so I'm going to have to make a second one. Zombie just dropped gold pants. I don't know what it is about these mobs, but they are very wealthy in this area. Okay, both melters. Melter number 1, melter number 2. We'll put the fluid extractor there with the fluid pipe down here to pipe molten metal down the bottom. We don't want it to pipe from the top, so I'll just break that connection right there. And same thing for this side. Okay, that looks technical, but it's really simple. So, now we have to figure out how we're going to get the items out and into the stamper. Put the stamp base here. Put the fluid extractor there. Fluid pipe here. Break that off. And I think this should work. Receptors so that they can receive power. Oh, I almost forgot. Do not forget to put your levers on top. Otherwise, your item extractors aren't going to extract. Okay, we'll make it an even 10. So this one, got our copper ingots. That's in here. I don't have that much gold, so I'm going to have to make more gold. So basically, you get these golden nether bricks, surround a pure daisy with them, and then they slowly convert. And here is our gold. Not that much, but it's a start. Alright, we got 11 here. Put that in there. And now, all we have to do is power on the melters, and let's see if this works. Oh, we're out of power. Guess we better go pick up the ember that I've been mining. It is always noisy down here. Still lots of charcoal in there, oh my goodness. And lots of ember, wow. I don't know about you guys, but I think this is more than enough fuel for the machines upstairs. Okay, so this one is melting the gold. That is perfect. This melter, melting the copper, so far so good. Okay, so it looks like all the copper and all the gold melted, which means they should be in here. That looks gold. That looks like copper, okay. Oh! Okay, there's the Dawnstone. Looks like it worked. After powering the mixer, the Dawnstone was pumped into the stamp, where it was being pressed into Dawnstone ingots. In total, I have 20 Dawnstone ingots. Perfect. I think we can put this on hold for now. So we have Dawnstone. What does that mean? It means we can move on to the next step, Circle of Magic. In this step, we're going to have to create different types of chalk sticks. That way we can perform rituals, one of which will lead to the creation of a blaze rod. But before we can make gold chalk, we have to make white chalk. To make the white chalk, we need 6 wood ash. Ooh, finally we get to use it. And a new material. Looks like white coal, but it's actually called gypsum. And to make gypsum, we need quicklime and foul fume. I believe to make quicklime, all we have to do is turn wood ash and convert it. So simple as that. To make foul fume, all we have to do is burn logs. Okay, we got about 10 bottles of foul fume. I think that's more than enough. And then from there, it's as simple as just putting the foul fume in with the quicklime. And now all we have to do is wait. Oh, we got a free slime ball. And oil of vitriol, whatever that is. Let's go ahead and make some chalk. Where's the crafting table? 1, 2, 1. Oh, it's a stack. With these 4 basic pieces of ritual chalk, we're going to convert 3 of them into 3 unique types of chalk. So let's start with the first one, the golden chalk. To make this chalk, we're going to need mandrake, a Dawnstone ingot, and some white chalk, plus 3,000 altar power. As it stands, our altar is generating a whopping 859. This is not going to cut it. On top of that, I need to turn my shader back on. We're going to have to create an entire area dedicated to the enchanted mod because this altar is not receiving enough power, and the only way to power it up is by planting, well, more plants around it. That's where it siphons its energy from. So, I think it's time we do a little building. Alright, so I got a ton of sand. You're probably wondering why I have that. I'm going to make a greenhouse. That's right, a greenhouse. Makes sense given the theme of this mod pack. And in the greenhouse, I'm going to put the altar. I haven't built a greenhouse in a couple of years since I did 100 days on Xbox 360 Minecraft, so hopefully I still have the skills to pull it off. Now, what kind of glass do I want for this greenhouse here? You know what, for this design, I think I'm going to go with vertical glass. Alright, folks, let's build a greenhouse. Where do we want to put this? Well, I guess this spot right here is as good as any. So we're going to have to chop down these trees. It's nothing special yet, but give it some time, and this will be a beautiful greenhouse. Well, part of a greenhouse. It took a little time and a whole lot of glass blocks, but eventually I constructed a dome-shaped greenhouse. Now it was time to add plants. Well, my friends, as you can see, we have ourselves a greenhouse. Part of a greenhouse, actually. I wanted to make some wings on the left side and the right side. I'll make them on an as-needed basis, because I want to move forward and get the witchery. That way we can finally get our blaze rod, and then, hopefully, our infinite iron. So the next step is to plant some crops in here, maybe a nice variety. That way we get more altar power, and then we'll put the altar in the middle, along with the rest of the witchery tools. Well, I'm sorry, I mean enchanted tools. Although I gotta say, the mods are very similar. Go ahead and mine up the altar. Now for the floor, I wanted to do bundled spruce logs. And the next thing I want to do is just make a nice circle. Perfect. And then we'll place the altar right there. Ooh, there's a crystal there. I didn't even see that. And now all we have to do is till the soil, plant the crops, and we're good to go. Took some time, but with every plant, the altar power increased. Looks like the trees are growing. Let's see how that's contributed to the altar power. Oh, that contributes a lot. I just realized that even pumpkins and melons help, so I'm gonna go ahead and add these to the trees, make them look like hanging fruit. So, the greenhouse is complete. I have added every single plant in my arsenal, and there's honestly not much left. I would have to make more plants. But instead of doing that, I've opted to do something a little more convoluted. See, our altar power is at 1676, maxed out with everything that we have here. The only problem is that to make our golden chalk, we need an altar power of 3000. We're almost halfway there. Thankfully, there are multipliers you can put on top of the altar, like a chalice. Alright, let's make a chalice, and hopefully our hopes and dreams will be made into reality. Simple as that. A little golden cup. This thing is tiny. Look at it. Like a little shot glass. Okay, so our altar power is at 1676. And now, with the chalice, 3,352 and climbing. Look at that. So now that it has a capacity of 3,000, I think we're set. I'm going to move all of the items over to the altar now. That way they can draw from its power. Alright, I got it all. The oven, the cauldron, the fume funnel, the spinning wheel, the kettle, the distillery, and all that great stuff. Okay, so how do I want to arrange this? Well, I guess we're going to have to sacrifice some of these flowers. They're contributing to the altar power, but we can afford to lose a few. The setup is complete. Let's make some chalk. The first one we're going to make, because we need the most, is the golden chalk. For that, we're going to need mandrake, Dawnstone, and of course, white chalk. Let's fill this with water. Mandrake, Dawnstone, chalk. I think it's working. Oh, those are some brand new colors I've never seen before. Something is definitely happening here. Is that a good color? Yes, it is. Golden chalk. It's about time. And if we write with it, makes a little symbol on the ground. Oh my god, that's so much durability it just used up. Okay, we gotta be conservative with this. Jeez. Moving on to chalk number 3, that red one. This one is called Nether chalk. And for that we need netherwort, more white chalk, and a new ingot. This one called tainted gold. Alright, so all we have to do is put the gold onto the natural altar, and that should convert it into tainted gold. There we go. So we got our tainted gold. Alright, and this one should give us the nether chalk. Although I'm not going to write on the floor like I did with this one, because it just took like a quarter of the durability away. Beautiful. Nether chalk. And last but not least, the final chalk. This one is called Otherware chalk, and yes, it is expensive, requiring both an attuned stone and an ender pearl in its recipe. Okay, let's not get this wrong, because this is expensive. Wart, attuned stone, ender pearl, chalk. Wart, attuned stone, ender pearl, chalk. 1, 2, 3, 4. And with that, we have Otherware chalk, which means we finally completed the quest, Circle Magic. XP, Reclamation Rituals, first edition on Circle Magic. So this book teaches us how to create some interesting items such as bees' nests, and a ritual used to summon guardians. Let's just do the ritual to summon the blaze. After all, that's why we're here. We're gonna have to do a circle with 4 types of items: a fell pumpkin, foul fume, hint of rebirth, and a rune of fire. To craft the rune for the ritual, we're gonna need 2 new items: a mana ingot and some mana powder. Both of those things are really easy to come by. It's as simple as just taking some iron and dipping it into the mana pool. Huh? Oh, it works with redstone at least. Oh, it's gotta be one of those. Okay. Thankfully we have one. There we go. So we got 2 of our main ingredients, and now let's just collect the rest, and we'll be set. I don't think the order matters. So, mana powder, mana steel, ember shard, nether wart, the nether brick. Sucking up a lot of mana. Wow. 2 runes of fire. Perfect. Okay, so I have the rune of fire. Now all I have to do is whip up a fell pumpkin, and we should be set. Somehow, while growing pumpkins for the ritual, I stumbled across black beans. Kind of just sprouted out of the ground while I was tending to the pumpkins, so yeah, black beans are a thing now. Now, for those of you who don't remember, the fell pumpkin allows us to create artificial blazes. With this recipe, we're able to take it a step further, because now we'll be able to summon real blazes. The artificial ones, they only drop blaze powder, but the real blazes, they drop blaze rods. That's it. You have a fell pumpkin. So I believe it's as simple as just drawing the circle and placing the items, however you do that. So 1, 2, 3. Just go ahead and draw this. Fairly simple. Oh, it's already smoking. So how do I place the items down? Stealing one of my pumpkins! You know what? I don't think this is going to work because it's too far from the altar. So I think we're going to have to do it in here. This is gonna break after this. Yep. After a brief tutorial, I think I figured it out. I'm gonna make myself a nice little pool of water right here because I know that the blaze is gonna try to shoot me. All I gotta do is toss these in, not the potato. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then just... Okay. Something's happening. Something is happening. Uh-oh. Here it comes. Oh, it was a passive little guy. And like that, we have blaze rods. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a breakthrough. We had to do all of this just to get these blaze rods that I'm holding in my hand, but that's okay. We've completed the chalk quest along with the other quests, Real Blazes, which allows us to collect 2 more blaze rods as a reward along with 100 XP. Now we can finally make the next block that will allow us to create beautiful iron seeds, the Alchemy Catalyst. To make an Alchemy Catalyst, we need 4 living rock, 2 gold, a mana pearl, and 2 brewing stands. Well, we have everything except the brewing stand, so let's go ahead and craft those. Alright, so we got the brewing stands right there. Convert this into a mana pearl. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for, one alchemy catalyst. Finally, finally, finally. This is going to allow us to make so many new things. How do I use this? So according to what I'm reading here, this has to be under the mana pool. Okay. Put this under the mana pool, just like so. Now, I know it was a long, excruciating process, but here's a quick recap as to why we needed this. So, we want to make this item called Tertium Essence, that way we can craft our iron seeds. And the only way to do that is by using the Runic altar. We have everything to make it except ice essence. To make ice seeds, we need 4 blocks of blue ice. And that's where you may recall some of our troubles. I tried making ice this way with the snowballs, 1 block at a time. You get a snow block, and then you throw it in when you have 9 of them, and it gives you an ice block, and it just takes way too long. You remember. But there is a silver lining. 9 snow blocks for 1 ice block, kind of a ripoff. But if we were to take the snow blocks and convert them to ice this way, instead of 9 snow blocks for 1 ice block, it is now 1-to-1, 1 snow block for 1 ice block, which should make things go much quicker. Oh my gosh, it's like a geyser. Go ahead and convert this into packed ice. A little longer than I anticipated, but I've accumulated enough to finally have 4 blocks of blue ice. Let's make ourselves some ice seeds. Okay, we cannot mess this up. These blocks are expensive. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an additional 4 Prudentium Essence. We have our seeds right there, and click. This is the wrong wand. And with that, we have our ice seeds. Look how beautiful they are. So, it's time to multiply these, and we'll get our ice essence. Beautiful. This one is different. It actually has its own unique texture. I thought it was going to be like, these ones over here where it's just this weird, spiky-looking sprout flower. Now, aside from making ice and a couple other blocks, there is really no other important utility that I need from this plant, so I see no reason to max it out. I think we'll just make do with the 1. We have our ice essence, we have our nether essence, we have living rock, and we have a means of getting Prudentium. Let's make some tertium essence. Okay, it took a minute, but I finally have 18 Prudentium essence after combining all of these essences together in the Witch's Cauldron. And now that I have both Prudentium blocks, let's see if we have enough mana for this. It would seem we're a little short, but not to worry. I have everything under control because we have this mana tablet which we've been saving for this very moment. So I'm going to toss this in, and now watch as the mana tablet empties itself into the mana pool, giving us the proper amount for the new Runic altar item that we're going to get. And like that, it's basically full. Perfect. Even though we have enough mana, I just want to be on the safe side, so we'll go ahead and start this up again. Alright, now, while that's generating passive mana, let's go ahead and do this Runic altar business. If you've been here before, you know how this goes. We'll place the mana spreader on top. Perfect. Now we're going to wait for that to charge up. Jeez, it's taking a lot of mana already. By this point, there wasn't much to do except wait for the Runic altar to charge up, so I decided to pass the time by doom scrolling on my phone. Living rock, and the wand. Oh, that was expensive. We have 4 tertium essence. Let's make some iron seeds. I need an iron block, 2 mana steel, and a Dawnstone ingot. I got 4 mana steel, some tertium essence. Let's put this together. So 2 on each side, Dawnstone at the bottom, iron block on top, and then essence in each corner. With a simple click, we're finally making iron seeds. Oh my god, I feel out of breath. Okay, we have them. We finally have the iron seeds. This was supposed to be like a 5-minute project that would take place at the beginning of the video. I did not anticipate it taking as long as it did. Now I'd make a second set of iron seeds, but I'm out of iron already, and I need an iron block. Thankfully we have some iron seeds, so let's go ahead and give them a test drive, and maybe we can get our block with them. There's the iron seed. So there it is, the iron plant in all of its glory, and there is the iron essence. With this, we'll be able to make ingots. 18 iron essence. When you put it in a circle on the crafting table, it's 6 ingots for every 8. Click the middle, and now we're going to have our second set of iron seeds. As you can see on the bottom, I have 2 pairs of iron seeds. So naturally, what I have to do now is max them out. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so in our endeavor to get iron, we accomplished a lot. Not only did we assemble an entire greenhouse, we also upgraded our enchanted altar. Now we can make some powerful items because our altar power is over 3,000. On top of that, we've made multiple new plants, like the nether plants, the nether wart, both color mushrooms, ice plants, and of course the coveted iron plant, which gives us iron essence which we can craft into ingots. We have resources, but there's something missing. We need animals. Through certain processes, we can revive the long-extinct chicken. But before we can even consider making that, we first have to craft a new setup. This task is called energetic alchemy, and it involves making 3 new tools. The first of which is known as an exchange tablet. This was going to require another detour, one that meant I had to go get more materials to make gold. So I killed some skeletons, collected some bones, and once I had the bones, I made bone needles. Next I needed blaze powder, so I crushed some blaze rods with my crushing catalyst, and once I had the powders, it was time to make brilliant fiber in a spinning wheel. Once I had the brilliant fiber, I combined it with some nether bricks which I made from nether essence, and then I got the block that you have to place around a white daisy which converts it into the gold ore, which allowed me to make Dawnstone ingots. Now that I had a little stash of Dawnstone ingots, I could begin crafting the first of my machines. First I had to convert the Dawnstone ingots into plates. Then I made the exchange tablet. With this block right here, we'd be able to perform all sorts of alchemy stuff. Next, I had to make a beam cannon which powered the exchange tablet. The recipe was simple, so I was able to whip that up in no time. The last thing we had to craft were the pedestals that went around the table. These pedestals were probably the most expensive because I had to make 3 of them. Once I had the pedestals, it was finally time to figure out how exactly this was going to work. As you know, the Embers mod is not a walk in the park. It takes a little trial and error, and that was the case here. First, I had to set up the beam cannon directly above the exchange tablet. Once that was set, the time had come into looking how to craft an offering table. And believe me when I say, this was going to be very annoying. First thing I had to make were these things called aspectus. There were multiple variations, and to make them, I had to put an ember shard in the stamp base, then press them with whatever material they were made out of. The crafting recipe called for 3 of these things, and they each had to be placed inside of a pedestal in a specific order depending on what item it held. Oh, they just go like that. Alright, so we got our aspectus. I don't know if they're placed in the right order, but it's a guessing game. That is literally how they designed it. So, now we need to craft 3 more items for this recipe. A runic altar, which we've made. A token of joy, which we've also made before. But the 3rd item is new. This one is called a token of fear. And to craft it, we have all of the items except one. Bottled ghosts. I don't know what that is. By the looks of it, it doesn't even have a crafting recipe, so it's probably like the bottled sunlight. We have to get an empty bottle and click something. Well, thank God for Google, because the solution is very simple. The reason I'm cooking sand is because we need bottles, obviously. To get bottled ghosts, all we gotta do is go into the nether, and it's as simple as just clicking the air. And with that, we have bottled ghosts. Now that we have our bottled ghosts, let's go ahead and craft our token of fear. So I have everything for the ritual on the bottom right except one thing, which I thought I had, but I don't. Care to take a guess what it is? If you guessed the feather, congratulations, you are correct. We don't have feathers because we don't have chickens. Thankfully, we can get feathers through the power of mana infusion. All I gotta do is grab a little flax from my flax plant right here, and it's a good thing we made this alchemy catalyst, otherwise this would not be possible with the mana alone. It's as simple as just dropping it in, and with that, we've conjured 2 feathers. Alright, let's go ahead and do this thing. So, oak sapling in the middle, and then the rest, I don't think the orientation matters. And it looks like we got it right the first try. That is not common in my playthroughs. And there they are. 2 tokens of fear. All I gotta do is craft some tokens of joy. I thought I had some, but I guess I used them all last time. Next, I gotta get a couple of apples, which I had, but I ate them all, so we're gonna have to go find more. come on, come on. Give me an apple. Give me one apple. Just one apple. Please, please, please. No apple. Okay. What about this one? All you gave me was disappointment. Okay. Lucky tree number 3. Are we going to get an apple? Hey, lucky tree number 3. Thank you very much. I just got lucky apple number 2. Now, the reason I was so hellbent on getting a second apple is because, as you may have noticed, apples are, well, not common. They are used in some crafting recipes. Instead of having to chop down trees at random hoping to get an apple, why don't we just make an apple tree? That's right! There are fruit trees in this mod. I know we spent a lot of time so far making machines and materials, but we can't forget that this mod pack is about restoring the earth. And one thing that's got to make a comeback are these beautiful fruit trees. There are a ton of plants we can grow. And look at all the fruit trees we can conjure. I think we'll start with the one and, well, humble beginnings. Let's make a little apple orchard. Making this apple orchard was a very nice change of pace. It also gave me some ideas for other orchards that I could make for different types of fruit. Once I was able to collect enough apples, it was time to get back to work. I took my little apple stockpile and used it to create my tokens of joy. Next, it was time to make more infused ingots, though there was a small problem. I think we finally ran out of aura because only one of the columns is emitting aura. The other 3 are not. Did we just drain the area dry of aura? Well, we can fix that. The mod creators thought of everything, even a means of creating aura. To do this, we have to craft an ancient sapling, a tree that emits aura. Guess we gotta go on a little side quest. The first thing we need to get are poppies and dandelions. But Doublesal, we already have those things. Well, you're right, but when I click them, instead of getting flowers, all I get is dye. To get the actual flowers, we're gonna have to create clippers. At least with this, we'll be able to get the flowers. Just like that. Sapling in the middle, and I think we should be getting our new tree. There it is, 2 ancient saplings. And a means of generating aura. What is this tree gonna look like? That is a big tree. That is actually a big tree, and it's emitting aura particles already. I can see that. Look at that. That is magical. Okay. Looks like this beacon is already emitting more aura particles, too. That is a good sign. One thing I am noticing, though, is that the more aura they take from these trees, the more likely their leaves die. Guess we'll have to make a few more trees. Oh my god, you can see the rot from here. Those trees are dying quickly. I took the ingredients, added them to the nature altar, and in no time I converted a regular tree into ancient saplings, which were pretty large and very colorful. Okay, well, we got a ton of pink trees now. I think that should be enough. Unfortunately, I wasn't fast enough to save the one tree there, but that's the price you pay. All we had to do was craft one more item. The last thing we need is another runic altar. Once again, we have to hunt for another ender pearl. Or do we? With our brand new catalyst, we can convert a gas tier into an ender pearl. But where do we get a gas tier from? From our infusion altar, which can convert soul soil into the gas tier. All we have to do is craft a brand new block. This is known as a transmutation catalyst, and it turns out that we have everything we need to get one. Go ahead and get my mana steel, put together one of those fancy tainted gold ingots. There we go. Grab one of those Dawnstone ingots. And of course, we're gonna pay a visit to the spinning wheel. That way we can get the beautiful material known as brilliant fiber. You are just lucky we don't need to hunt you anymore. Combine the fibers to make golden stone bricks. And last but not least, we need a single jungle sapling. There we go. As you can see in my hotbar, we have a wide array of items, everything we need to make ourselves the new catalyst. There it is, folks, the transmutation catalyst. Just go ahead and place this right here. And I think that's it. Got some soul soil stashed in here from when we were growing the nether warts. Let's see if this works. That's not what I thought would happen. No, what the? Why isn't it making it? Okay, I broke the crumbling catalyst. Maybe that had something to do with it. Oh, this one's taking a little longer. I think we're going to get our gas tier. So it looks like only one catalyst can be on the altar at a time. Interesting. Well, we'll go ahead and make as many gas tiers as we can. Maybe Maybe 4. You know what? 2 is enough. The tree's already decaying as it is. Okay, so we have our ghast here. Now all we have to do is dump it in the mana pool. And now we have ender pearls, which we can dump in again. And now we have mana pearls. Finally! This will never be a problem again. With the final ingredient, it was time to use the exchange tablet. Okay, I'm about to link the Ember receptor right here to the Ember emitter right there. That way it'll have power. As for this, I don't know if it takes power. I don't even know if these take power, but we'll find out. So we have to put a Runic altar, token of joy, and a token of fear. So we will put our 1 token there, another token there, and then our Runic altar here. Guess I'm gonna have to turn my shader off. Alright, shader's off, that way we can see all the action. Let's switch this on. It is receiving power as far as I'm aware. Yeah, okay, it's receiving power. Does this need power too? I forgot that some things require levers. Oh my god! That used almost all the power. Okay. And I think we put these in the wrong order. Oh, I'm so stupid. I forgot to put the ingot. That's gotta be it. Okay, here we go. Oh, something is happening. Something big is happening here. Ooh, is this gonna work? It's pouring all of the ember and all of the item energy into the infused iron ingot. Are we going to get our item? No. We got alchemical waste. And it used our runic altar. So this alchemical waste is supposed to tell us what we got right. Upon closer inspection, you notice 1 glowing spot and 1 pale spot in the waste. I don't know how I'm supposed to interpret this. As cryptic as the dust is, there is a way to actually interpret the information. But for that, we're gonna need a brand new item. It's called a code-breaking slate, and it does just that. It's supposed to crack codes for you, and it does so by analyzing the ash. So, let's make a code-breaking slate. To make the code-breaking slate, we're gonna need a special material. This one is called an archaic brick. And to get one, once again, we have to use the exchange tablet. But to do that, we need another brand new material. We need silver. To get silver, we have to undergo a process called alchemical reformation. Oh my goodness, that is a lot of things we have to craft. Ugh, some of these crafting recipes, they require quite a bit of Dawnstone, and I don't think I have that much gold to make Dawnstone. Well, I think it's about that time. Let's whip up some gold seeds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gold block on top, tainted gold on both sides, and a Dawnstone at the bottom. Prosperity seeds in the middle, and click! We have ourselves some beautiful, vibrant, and valuable gold seeds. I'll go ahead and make a second set, and I will see you when it's time to farm them. We'll put 1 gold seed here, another gold seed there, and now let's water them. Probably my favorite looking of all the mystical agriculture plants so far. Naturally, these plants are 1 out of 1s, so time to max them out. But first, let's take a little nap. And there it is, our 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 gold plant. We'll go ahead and plant them right here next to their iron brothers. There we go. It's very similar to the iron. 8 essence makes 4 gold. And now we have more gold than we've ever had in this entire playthrough. Okay, thanks to the gold essence, we now have plenty of gold, plenty of Dawnstone, and, well, we have plenty of copper so long as we harvest it. Let's tackle each of these crafting recipes one by one. The first one we'll work on is the Reformation Result Pedestal. Wow, these names get longer and longer. Don't have any blackstone, but I think we'll be able to find some here pretty quickly. This looks like a decent deposit. Crafting recipe for the pedestal is pretty simple. You got 5 Dawnstone ingots, 3 blackstone at the bottom, and then in the center, any type of alchemical sulfur. The result is this fancy looking bowl right here. Next we have the Reformation Target Pedestal, followed by the Reformation Source Pedestal. Next we gotta scoop up a bucket of sal ammoniac. You place the bucket on the crafting table and it gives you a sal ammoniac crystal. We're gonna combine it with 3 blackstone, 2 Dawnstone, and some essence. This gives us the sulfuric flux emitter. Lastly, we gotta take a barrel, place a copper plate on the bottom and on the top. This gives you a create mod fluid tank. You combine it with more Dawnstone, andesite alloy, and a shard of mercury, and you get a mercury catalyst. Direct your attention to the hotbar. As you can see, we have a variety of blocks for a very simple setup. At least I hope it's simple. I think we have a little hint right here in the quest log on the arrangement of these blocks. I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume it goes something like this. Something like that. I could be wrong, but okay. So I have to click each one with the flux emitter in my hand. And I think that's it. Yes, it's linked to one source, one target, and one result pedestal. That's the source, this is the target, and that's the result. The final product will go right there. Okay. This was an interesting setup. From what I could understand, each pedestal had its own special utility. Now that we have the setup, we're one step closer to getting our silver. The next thing we have to do is craft a single alchemical silver sulfur. All we gotta do is add mana powder, gypsum, whiff of magic, an ember crystal, and a Dawnstone ingot. Add some living rock, click it with the wand, now we have alchemical sulfur. We're gonna take this itty bitty bag and duplicate it a bunch of times. But first we gotta get more sal ammoniac, pour it into the liquefaction cauldron, and toss the gold ingots inside. When combined with the sal ammoniac, the gold is converted into a special alchemical sulfur, one of the gold variety. Let's start with the pedestal right here, the orange one. And your setup doesn't have to look like mine as long as you have all three of these. Put the silver right here. Well, in this case we're using silver, whichever essence you want to duplicate, so we're duplicating this one. Then you need your source. This is going to be the fuel to duplicate it. You put the gold here. This was leading me to believe that the process was working correctly. As you can see at the very top, we have 9 alchemical sulfur, silver, which has been duplicated from the base sulfur. And as you can see over here, our gold sulfur is being used up to multiply the silver sulfur. A lot of sulfur, but yeah, we've basically duplicated silver. This was a miraculous process because it meant that we could duplicate other materials as well, so long as we had the right sulfurs to do it. All we have to do is combine the silver sulfur with the mercury and the salts, and we'll have ingots. I need fuels for the incubators, and I'm not gonna lie, I completely forgot we had this tool. Kinda makes our other tool over there a little useless. I'm talking about the fan. Okay, sulfur in here, mercury there, and our mineral salt here. And now all we gotta do is wait, and we should have silver. Took a couple of minutes, but here we go. 46 silver ingots. We'll go ahead and claim our rewards. And now that we have the silver, we can finally make an attempt at an archaic brick. But first I have to make a silver aspectus. Shouldn't take too long. Alright, the combination for this should be fairly simple. I mean, how many possibilities are there? 2 clay, some soul sand in the middle. You gotta be kidding me. Oh, wait a minute, this is to duplicate it. This is the recipe to craft it. It's all very simple. A brick goes here, tainted gold goes there, infused iron goes here, right? Let's see if this works. It didn't work. This has got to be the combination. Are you serious? By this point, I was getting a little agitated with this mod. It was so much trial and error, and I just wanted my item in that moment. You know, I was reading a lot of reviews about this mod pack, and people usually quit about here because it's so tedious to do this. It's just guessing. Okay, what if we make them both copper? Is that even a possibility for them to have the same aspectus? Well, what do you know? Oh my god. We got him. I gotta write that down. That was a lot. After multiple tedious attempts, we finally have the archaic brick, which means we can craft a code-breaking slate. Better make more bricks. Lord knows this is gonna take multiple attempts. Alright, let's do this. I went down to the bedrock level to collect something called Ember grit. This was going to be the base item for my infusion. And after a lot of trial and error, I actually got the item. Oh my god, finally! Give me that! This took so long, but we have our code-breaking slate. So it doesn't look like much right now. But when we put ash inside, it shows us the attempted combination. Given that this is going to be a lot of trial and error, I feel like I should make more tokens of fear and tokens of joy. Okay, here we go. Token of joy, token of fear, runic altar. According to this, one of these was correct. So orange means that we had the right aspectus in the right spot with the right item. The pale circle means that we had the right aspectus, but it was with the wrong item. And then the fact that these are dark means that one of these shouldn't even be here at all. Okay, so let's assume this is the correct one. I'll put Dawnstone here, and a lead one here. So we have 2 glowing spots, which means that most likely these 2 were correct. For the runic altar, it's obviously not lead. I'm gonna gun for iron. Come on, come on. Well, if it's not iron, then we'll definitely know that it's Dawnstone. We got it! Oh my goodness, that was the most tedious process in this entire mod pack, but we finally have the offering table. Oh, I feel so good right now. So we've crafted the altar table, but our quest is only 50% complete. We still have to make an item of spirit calling. Thankfully, making this is way more straightforward than the dreaded process that is alchemy. Alright, let's go ahead and add the water to the witch's cauldron. Bottled ghosts, bottled sunlight, tainted gold ingot, and a whiff of magic. And now we should get the new item. 1 spirit of calling. 2, 3, 4. Ooh, that's very generous. 4 spirit of calling. And with that, we've completed the quest. Before spawning any chickens, I wanted to make sure they had a nice home. So it was time to do a little base upgrade. Mostly on the cosmetic side, as this didn't really add anything to the function of how we did things here. Alright, so as you can see, I've made some modest modifications to this area. One of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that I was actually able to take this natural altar and give it its own little dedicated space. I mean, it didn't really move, but the space is now sectioned off from the rest of the farm here, so that's kind of neat. I hope it still works. Over here I added a simple path to the greenhouse, although the path doesn't really go anywhere. I think I'm going to have to move this, make this more user-friendly. And aside from that, I think it looks a little better. I know I could definitely do a lot better. I don't build gardens, I don't build farms. This is all foreign to me, so we'll get better as we progress. Okay, we were going to make a chicken. To make a chicken, we have to craft 5 new items. The first of which is a feather flesh amalgam. Looks like we have the perfect opportunity to christen our brand new natural altar. And now we bone meal. Aw, that looks so much better than before. Look at this. And the result is this gross flesh lump with feathers embedded in it. This thing resembles an early predecessor to the spawn egg. Now we gotta upgrade it. To do that, we have to dump it in hemoglobic fluid. In case you forgot, to make hemoglobic fluid, you have to take a bucket of sal ammoniac, pour it into an accumulator, and then it mixes with the mandrake root. For some reason, mandrake is linked with blood, and that gives you hemoglobic fluid at the bottom. Alright, we got our bucket of hemoglobic fluid, pour that into the liquefaction cauldron, toss in your flesh egg, and start a nice little fire underneath. And now we wait. The result is an even more disgusting item, a bloodied amalgam. We gotta take this bloodied egg a step further. This time we have to infuse it with mana. Add the egg, the mana powder, the pasture seed, and there it is, the recipe for the mana egg. Now we have mana-dosed amalgam. We're only 2 steps away from getting a chicken spawn egg. The last thing we have to do is a ritual. And my god, that is a lot of runes. I don't think we're gonna have the space down here to do it. The only thing I'm hesitant to do is to wipe this off the floor, because this was kind of expensive to make. Now you can actually save these rituals on the floor, but for that, you gotta craft something called a circle talisman. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. 4 gold nuggets in each corner, an attuned stone in the middle, and then ingots to fill in the rest of the gaps. With that, we get a circle talisman. Alright, let's see how easy this is. all we have to do is dump the talisman with a redstone and click the center. All right, we'll dump that here. Redstone there. Well, there we go. Simple as that. Our circle talisman changed in appearance too. Let's take a look at that diagram again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Eesh, I don't even know if this chalk is going to last that long. Oh my god, it barely made it. And it's gone. Okay, we got our first circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inner circle complete. Now the red and then the gold. There we go. Now... okay, the items are getting consumed. There it is. An infused amalgam. I'll go ahead and make the second one now. There we go. Okay, we have 2 infused amalgams. Here at the offering table, we have to combine these infused amalgams with the spirit of calling. Don't know how this is going to work, so let's figure it out. Why do I get the feeling that this is going to need a special type of build around it? Oh, because it does. Thank God we have this poppy farm. Okay, we got to relocate this thing. Yeah, we can do it right here. First circle of poppies complete. 1, 2. Now I'm working on the second circle. Okay, it looks like our flower circle is complete. It's kind of pretty. Oh, it even shows on the map. That's cool. All right, so we put the amalgam there, and then we toss this in. Oh my god. Good thing we weren't standing on that. Oh! It converted both of them! That's amazing! Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 spawn eggs. And no, they aren't from creative mode. We made them here at the offering table. Now, where do we want to put these people? I think it's only fair that we spawn them on the island. After all, this is our little pet project over here. I should build a bridge, though. I don't really like building bridges at an angle, but this is about trying new things. So, for the first time in Doublesal history, I was going to build a diagonal bridge, and believe it or not, it wasn't that bad. And this is the final product. I'm a little reluctant about its design still. I don't know if I'm totally happy with it. I feel like something is missing. Let's take a little walk through. As you can see, we're shaded under some leaves. We got some lanterns right here to keep this place nice and illuminated. Like all bridges, it performs its main function. It gets us from point A to point B. And now we're on the island. So, no more swimming across the river. Now we'll cross the bridge. And it's good to be back on the island, where now it's finally time to spawn our chickens. And I think this spot right here is as good as any to spawn them. As you can see, there are some gaps in this fence here. I was going for a rustic look because I was going to put crops here, but no, this is going to be a chicken pen now. And I don't have any more oak logs on me, so I'm going to make these out of spruce. And that's okay if there's a little mismatching in the color. Gives it a nice rustic look. Good enough for me. And now, the time has come to restore one of the first extinct animals of this world. With this act, we reclaim life in Minecraft. The chicken. The chickens are back. And they vary in color. Look at that. And they're gonna lay eggs, and I think it's time to breed them. These two are about to make the first baby in this Minecraft world. Little chicken number 3. Well, folks, chickens are back. And now, honestly, I don't know what to do right now. I didn't think I'd get this far. But I'm pretty proud of the achievement here. It would seem that because we completed the final quest of this chapter, we've unlocked a brand new chapter, and oh my god, there is so much stuff. Wow. Honestly, I don't know what to do right now. I didn't think I'd get this far. But I'm pretty proud of the achievement here. It was time for a nice change of pace. Remember the apple orchard that I made earlier? Well, I wanted to expand on that by making other fruit trees, but to do that, I was going to need an item called Nature Essence. And to get Nature Essence, you need Nature Seeds. And to get Nature Seeds, you need Nature Essence. So the only way to get it naturally was by breeding bees. And breeding bees is something that I've been wanting to avoid, but it seems like we have no choice, seeing as how bees are actually pretty useful. There was a whole skill tree to help me, so how bad could it be? I've been putting this task off for the longest time because I cannot wrap my head around this mod. But we're gonna make an attempt to figure it out. It's time to start with the first step. Beginnings. Clever. First we had to make a bee scoop along with an apiary. So I started with the apiary. With some planks and some caminite bricks, we finally had a house for our bees. Then I needed a means to actually catch some bees. So I made a bee scooper. With the scooper, we'd be able to go out into the wild and find some bees, bring them home and breed them. To actually get started, we have to find a wild beehive. They occur naturally in the overworld, so finding one shouldn't be too difficult. Alright, here we go. A bee's nest. That's about it. So you just mine them and then it drops the bees. I was a little worried it was going to be like the vanilla bees where when you break the hive, the bees get agitated and they sting you, but these guys, they don't have a lot of fight in them. I wonder if we can make do with just these three or if I should keep looking for more. I did get a little greedy and spent the rest of the day hunting for more beehives. The more bees I had, the more materials I'd get. Alright, bee nest number 2 right here. I'm getting shot by skeletons now. Okay, we made it. Safe and sound, nice and dry. So let's figure out this bee nonsense. Okay, interesting interface. Honeycomb themed, appropriately so. Of the bees that I collected, I have 3 queen bees. No, this is a princess. Another princess, and a third princess, and they don't stack. But the drones do. Let's see what the next step is. Bee sources. So according to the guide, all we have to do is put one of the princess bees in here along with the drone. And then they make resources? No flowers, needs dead bush. Also, it can't see the sky and the weather is affecting it as well. Geez, these bees are delicate. We're gonna have to go collect dead bush, but first let's go to bed. So the bees want to be outside. It's a pretty valid expectation, but they want dead bushes? Kinda strange. Well, who are we to deprive the bees of their much-needed food resource? I'm gonna go ahead and collect as many dead bushes as possible, and hopefully the bees will get to work. Alright, we got the apiary right here. Put the wasteland queen inside, and now... Okay, she's happy. The bar is green, which I assume means she's happy. And I guess we wait now. Okay, we'll set the others up as well. And hopefully some good will come out of this, so now we're just waiting for the bees. It took a few minutes, but eventually the bees started generating resources. 1 dead log. This one's produced nothing. This one has also produced an equal amount of nothing. While we're waiting for the bees to generate resources, oh, these 2 generated barren combs, good for them. Let's go ahead and make some of the other bee machines, like the comb processor. With this tool, we're going to process combs to get resources out of them. The crafting recipe is pretty straightforward. Some iron ingots, 2 stone, a redstone, and a chest. Alright, we got the centrifuge. But the centrifuge needs power. So now we're going to make a furnace generator. I'm surprised we don't have a blast furnace yet, but you know what? Makes a lot of sense considering we've been smelting on a mass scale. And there is the furnace generator. It's going to burn coal and give the machine power. Alright, we got our generator, we have our centrifuge, we are ready to process combs. Hopefully the bees have something for us to process. Put some coal in there, and it looks like we have some new items in here. A wasteland drone and a desiccated drone, along with a wasteland princess and a barren comb. We have some barren combs. Let's see what we can do. We'll put them in the processor, and some progress is being made here. I wonder what they're going to give us. Nothing. Okay, well there is a chance that you get nothing. That's good to know. Oh, we got a new item. Oh, beeswax. Okay. Is there a way we can speed this up? In the meantime, we have a new species of drone, the desiccated drone. I don't know exactly how the bee breeding works because you can combine different bees to make new items, but we'll figure that out. As for the centrifuge, we finally have the item we've been waiting for, the honey droplet. And with that, we have completed the next task. Bee sources. Alright, so one thing I'm noticing is that when I hover over the bees, they say not analyzed. So, we're gonna have to craft one of the tools to do that task. There are a few of them. The first one being called an analyzer. You also have the option to craft a microscope, along with a final tool known as an apid library. Alright, let's go ahead and start with something simple like the analyzer. So we have the analyzer, let's see what we're working with. Ooh, that is a lot of text. Needs honey drops to run and a bee to analyze. Well, I just so happen to have one honey drop in my inventory. Which bee should we analyze? So pop that in there, and then a honey drop, and there's a lot of information. Species, wasteland life, shortest productivity, slowest flower, dead bush. And the quote, are all that remainder former glory, a torn page. So this one's got a 40% chance to make a barren comb, while the wasteland bees have a 30% chance. Well, the analyzer wasn't very helpful. Thankfully, we can still make the microscope, although we have to craft a new item for that, an environmental eye. Okay, the ritual is taking place. We should get the eye shortly. There it is, the environmental eye. Oh, and it tells me the aura in the area. Is that what this is for? How much aura do we have over here? And the crafting recipe is pretty simple. 3 iron blocks, a pane, and the eye. With that, we have a microscope. But before we look into the microscope, there's one thing I want to do. We're going to convert this deep slate into tough. Doesn't make sense right now, but it will in a bit. Okay, I got my tough, and I got the microscope. Like a lot of things in this mod, this next part was a little annoying. We had to research the bees to get their mutations, and to do that, they designed a nifty little puzzle where you have to match the boxes with its counterpart. The only problem is that there's no pattern, there's no strategy, it is all pure randomness. So you better hope you get lucky, because if you do, you complete a sequence and learn a mutation, of which there are a ton of. But if you want to go back and look at them, you need another tool, one which you can't craft unless you have something called propolis. And to get propolis, you need a rocky comb, which only comes from a rocky bee. So that was the next goal. We had to make rocky bees, and to do that, I placed tough under the hive to increase my chances. That's actually how you do it. Then you gotta breed them and hope you get lucky, because it's a 20% chance. So, wish me luck. It's been about 45 minutes. I've been breeding bees over and over, hoping to get a rocky bee. Look at all the bees I've gotten. Bunch of desiccated drones, but no rocky bee. That 20% really is showing right now. Finally, we have one rocky drone. This took forever. I just realized we had rewards to claim. One of them is a deadly frame. What does a deadly frame do? I guess it affects the lifespan of the bees. It just died! We got another rocky drone. Wait, how do we make deadly frames? I think this is one of the most useful tools. Does this just insta-kill the bees? Oh, I think it does. I think this is how we're gonna get our rocky drone. Well, we got 3 rocky drones now. Now we have a rocky princess. From there, I had to demolish all of the hives because I needed something called a crimson bee, which could only be created in the Nether. Fortunately, the bees were a little weak. They were too cold in the Nether somehow, so I made heated frames to warm them up. Once I added the heated frames, that didn't really do anything, so I made 2 more, which still did nothing. So I decided to warm up the bees the only way I knew how. From there, I moved on because I had wasted plenty of time doing the bee nonsense and I wanted to get back to work. So instead, I ended up opting to expand my base even more. It was the only way I could make myself feel better about all the wasted time. I got a lot of dirt, a lot of logs, and I ended up building these platforms that were reminiscent of massive tree trunks. Then on top of the platforms, I filled them in with dirt that we could walk around and build on them, and then from there, I had the bright idea of actually making smaller trunks that would house crops. These were going to be mini farms that would house some of my most precious resources. Slowly but surely, this base began to take shape. Plus, I really love the idea of making the base designed after, well, an old tree. Really added to the reclamation aspect of this mod, that we were trying to restore this world one tree and one plant at a time. Eventually, it was time to move some of the crops over, so I decided to prioritize by moving some of the essences, like the wood essence that came from my wood plant. Only makes sense, seeing as how this entire build was made out of logs, and that was the main source of them. Now that I had expanded my wood essence farm, there was no limit to however many logs I wanted to create. The entire world of wood was at my disposal. Now that I had plenty of logs, I could actually expand the base even more. But the whole base wasn't going to be made out of wood. With some fire essence along with some dirt essence, I was able to combine the two to create sand, and in turn, sandstone. So I transferred both of the plants over to the base, hoping that I could grow them in mass quantities for lots of sandstone. Once I had collected enough, it was finally time to take those plants, collect their resources, and start crafting a ton of blocks for the next addition to this brand new build. The idea was inspired a little more by Elden Ring, specifically the city in Lindell. There were going to be a lot of columns and domes, and overall I was trying to create this grand feeling when you saw it in the distance. It took a little while, but thankfully there was plenty of wood, so that wasn't a problem. The main centerpiece would be the big building in the middle. That's the one that was going to have the grand dome, and I didn't know what I was going to put in here yet. The basement level was essentially empty. I was thinking about transferring stuff over. As for the upper level, well, I was thinking about putting a bed in there, and that's about it. There's the underside of the dome, pretty hollow. But yeah, I was very happy with the way it came out. On top of that, I even added a nice little covering for each of the mini farms that I had, just to give them a little grandeur as well. Eventually, I had what looked like a small city, and it looks so much bigger in the distance than up close. But for a place dedicated to restoring nature, there wasn't enough greenery, so I went around planting as many trees as possible. I even had the idea of adding some leaves along those wooden walls, that way this place felt a little more alive. You see, I wanted to maintain the sense that life was sprouting from the ground, hence why I went with the tree stumps for the foundation of the build. And in the end, I think I was able to achieve that. It certainly stands out from the barren wasteland in the background. The next thing we have to do is move all of this stuff over to the new place. This little workshop was good for our early beginnings, and I think I'm going to keep it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll go ahead and take the incubators as well. And I guess we'll move them down here. This basement will be our new laboratory. So far, I've moved all of my Theurgy, I think that's the mod, items down here. So you got the mercury distiller, the calcination oven, the incubator, liquefaction cauldron, ammoniac accumulators, and then of course the catalyst, along with every pedestal to make more metals. Alright, next we're going to upgrade our storage. Now I know they have AE2 for automatic storage and all that fancy stuff, and I could go out of my way to craft it, but I don't think we're there yet. We did that in a different video, and we have so many other options. We could use storage drawers, but they're only capable of storing large amounts of a single item. I think I'm leaning towards a more simple option. Sophisticated storage. They're basically chests that you can store more stuff in. So first you have to take a regular chest and give it a redstone torch. Once you do that, you surround it with any metal. In this instance, we're going to go ahead and go with iron, although you can use copper too, but I think it's less storage space. Now let's say you want to upgrade your chest to the next tier. Well, you don't have to craft another one, but you can craft an upgrade. There are multiple types of upgrades for multiple types of storage, with the highest being netherite. In this instance, we're going to make a gold upgrade. A gold and a redstone torch. That's it. We got our chests, we have our upgrade. Let's see what we can do. Say we want to store mercury. I'll put the chest right here. And as you can see, this is a 1-block chest with the inventory of a double chest. Just for example, I'll pour all of my items in here. Now we want to upgrade it. Well, take a gold upgrade. And with a single click, now we have a gold chest. And as you can see, it is substantially larger than the inventory of a double chest. You can even add upgrades like this crafting upgrade. For that, we have to make an upgrade base. It's as simple as a crafting table, the base which I just made, 2 ingots, and a regular chest. Alright, we got our crafting upgrade. Let's go to the chest. All we have to do is take the upgrade and drag it to one of the slots on the top left. And with that, we have access to a crafting grid. I highly recommend this. I think I'll even move my infusion pedestal over there. Oh, this is going to be the perfect spot right here. Perfect. Now this place is coming together. I think we should do the same for Botania too, although I can't move these mana pools. So I'm going to leave the mana pools, make some new ones, and we're going to relocate all this stuff. I think right here would be the perfect spot for this. How should I place this though? Okay, I think that looks decent. Alright, so this is the setup so far. We've moved the lilies down here, the runic altar, the apothecary. I even got the pure daisies down here. That way we can make more living rock and more of that living wood. So we have everything except the mana pool. Once we get the mana pool, I'll be making more mana, and this will be the Botania level. Alright, the living rock converted. Let's go ahead and break this up. Should be enough for a couple of mana pools. I have noticed that there are different variations. You got the regular mana pool, something called the fabulous mana pool, this yellow one right here, and a flux mana pool. We'll just go with the regular. And there it is, the new Botania setup. Okay, let's go ahead and see if these paintings are actually spectacular. What is that? Oh, so many options. I can even make screenshots paintings. No way. Incredible. Look at that. We have a painting of our farm. I think we're gonna adorn this whole place with paintings of our farm. We gotta get a painting of the skyline. Let me go take a screenshot of that. This painting's gonna be a little gloomy. Alright, we're gonna take a look and see how it went. No way, we can even add frames! Wait, just for fun. I'm gonna see what this looks like. I don't know, I think it's pretty flattering. Maybe I should make a fireplace here and have my portrait above the mantelpiece. Probably a little vain, but still funny. That's beautiful. I don't care what you say, that is gorgeous. It's probably a little too high on the wall, though. There we go, much better. Perfect, so I'm right above the resource generators right here. And we got our beautiful painting right there. And then just our jaw-dropping landscape painting right here. I almost kind of hate that there's so much clutter down here. I'm gonna move this stuff. We're keeping this painting though. This is a reminder of why we do what we do, right there. I think it's safe to say that we have more than enough space to start the next chapter. Now that we've created sentient life in the form of chickens, it's time to take this a step further. To do that, we're gonna have to make an altar of birthing. But first we have to generate spirits of birthing. And for that we have to breed animals in areas with high concentrations of aura. So I collected some golden leaves along with other materials, that way I could make more ancient trees. Once I placed the items on the pedestal, I completed the nature ritual and took these new saplings over to the island. Once they were grown, I was hoping that the aura levels would increase, but that wasn't really the case. Though, at least the chickens had some nice shade over them. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and make something that we've made before, the environmental eye. Now the reason I'm putting this together is because it can measure how much aura is in an area. There we go, another natural eye. Just go ahead and put this in our slots, and now let's go see how much aura we're generating where the chickens are breeding. And just a reminder, the chickens will not drop a spirit of birthing unless there's plenty of aura in that area. Alright, so far the aura levels around aren't that high. They're a little under the halfway point. When we get to the trees, it's about the same. Wow, look how beautiful this looks at night. We can't really appreciate it though because we're being assaulted by skeletons, but that is really pretty. Okay, so we have a few options for generating aura, and I'm leaning towards two of them. The first one is called an herbivorous absorber. Basically, it's a block that consumes flowers and converts them into aura. That would work. We have plenty of flowers after all, and we can multiply them to get even more. The other option is a little more grisly. This one is known as the Disentangler of Mortals. Essentially, when we kill an animal, its soul enters the box and it's converted into aura. The longer the animal's alive, the more aura you'll get from its soul. A little more time consuming, but profitable if you're patient. I think I'm leaning towards the flower one, seeing as how we have a massive abundance of flowers in this area. To craft it, we're gonna need 4 ancient planks, 3 infused ingots, a black flower, and of course, a token of joy. Thankfully, I've already crafted one of those. I have it set off to the side over here because I didn't see any use for it, but this is a good place to put it to the test. I wonder if it's going to absorb the plants naturally or if we have to feed it to the machine on its own. I hope it takes Botania flowers as well. Alright, we'll put this here, and nope. Okay, guess we gotta plant them. In this case, I'm going to have to water and harvest a ton of flowers. Wish me luck. Okay, as you can see in my hotbar, I have a nice selection of flowers. We're gonna go ahead and plant them inside of this farm right here. Oh, that was fast. Thank God it takes Botania flowers. So we just have to cycle through the flowers because it can only take so much of a specific flower before it starts diminishing the returns, and we don't want that to happen. And as you can see, the aura bar is just getting higher and higher. We got an achievement for positive imbalance effects. I wonder what that means. We'll follow up on that later, but I think the aura is high enough now to the point where if we breed a chicken, we should get the item that we're wanting. We got something. We got 3 spirits of birthing. Let's go. We got it. All right. Let's spam these chickens. Okay, so we have 6 spirits of birthing, which means all we have to do now is craft the altar of birthing. Geez, you can see the aura levels dropping drastically as we get further away from the trees. Insane. Now, before we go any further with creating the altar of birthing, I do want to follow up on that, like, extra aura amount that we generated back there. We got an achievement called Luscious Surroundings, which means there's extra aura to cause positive imbalance effects. I have a feeling that's tied to this one task in the other chapter, one known as Regrowth, where if we have enough aura, dirt will be converted from dried earth. We're gonna raise the aura levels, and hopefully we have a positive effect to the point where dirt starts spawning naturally. And because this area is covered in dried earth, we'll be able to see the difference if something positive does happen. Alright, take a nice good look at this area. All dried earth, there's not a single block of dirt. We'll find out if this affects anything. Well, it hasn't even been 5 minutes and a dirt block just spawned where a dried earth block was. The implications of this are pretty big. We could fix the world with this. Now that we looked at that tangent, let's go ahead and craft the altar. Well, obviously one of the things we need is right in the middle. Looks familiar, but we don't have it. Looks like a token of joy, but this is actually a token of euphoria. And to make that upgrade, we have to visit a very familiar machine. Anything but letting me finish my statement. God, I hate these husks. We have to visit the offering table. Are you serious? Token of joy. Throw the spirit of calling on there. There we go. Something magical is happening. Where is my item? Oh, it's right there. Token of euphoria. Next, we have to make 4 new ingots. Ingot of the skies. And to do that, we have to make another offering, although this time we're going to use tainted gold because you get 2 instead of the 1 with infused iron. Now we can actually see how much aura it takes to make this. We have our tainted gold. We'll go ahead and lay that right there. Throw on another spirit of calling. We're going to have to make more. There it is. Where is my item? Oh, it's right there. What? Oh. I was a little worried for a second. Okay, I thought we only got 2 back. Now we have Ingot of the Skies. And the rest of the ingredients are pretty straightforward. Some hay bales, some iron bars. Of course, you have to have your ingots on each corner, and then the token of euphoria right in the middle. With that, we have ourselves a new block. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Altar of Birthing. Now that we've completed the altar, let's go ahead and claim our rewards. 4 eggs. Wow, they really went out of their way for that one. And 100 XP. So let's say I want to make something like a cow. To make a cow, all I have to do is dump a couple of pedestals, an egg, and a spirit of birthing. Alright, we're going back to the farming area. Let's see if we can make a cow. Or better yet, cows. Chickens are thriving over here. I say we put the cows here. Of course, we do have to finish our fence here. Okay, altar of birthing right there. I got everything I need from the spirit of birthing to a gray petal, a brown petal, and an egg. How do we work this? Oh, I don't know why I always do this. Once again, we have to craft a special formation for the altar. I don't even recognize half of these blocks. One of the new materials to make the altar is called infused rock. To make the infused rock, we're going to need plenty of living rock. I may as well make more because honestly, I'm not sure how much I'm going to need, although I think I may have enough in my inventory already. But best to play it safe. Now that I have some living rock, all we have to do is go to the infusion altar, and that should be good. Well, it looks like the dirt has definitely spread. Oh my goodness. We have dirt as far as over here. How's it affecting our aura levels? Looks like the aura levels are diminishing just a little bit. But still, that's a positive development. Let's go ahead and make our new item. This one is called Infused Rock. I think 20 infused rock is plenty. Now we're going to take the infused rock and craft them into infused bricks. I believe we're gonna need some ancient logs as well, so I'll help myself to the roots of these ancient trees. And the last thing we need is hay bales. Lots and lots of hay bales. I just wasted so much hay crafting thatch. How did that even happen? Oh, that's how it happened. Oh, I can uncraft it, thank God. Alright, I rested. It's a beautiful brand new day. A little gloomy, but nothing too bad. Now I have all of the items. It's finally time to build the birthing altar. I know I keep saying that, but it seems like every time I get around to it, there's a new task to accomplish. Okay, where do I want to put this birthing altar? Well, probably nowhere too far. Let's see. Well, we got all this space over here. Why not? Guess we can put this smack dab in the middle, and then we'll make a path around it or something. I don't know. Alright, so we have the formation visualized right here. Alright, now that the hay bales are down, we'll go ahead and add the infused bricks, which in my opinion are some of the most ugly bricks I've ever seen. I almost forgot to fetch the altar itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm assuming 5. And the altar birthing in the middle. I think. Yeah, perfect. Alright, we got it done. Nice. I got some trusty wheat here so I can lure the cow to its brand new pen once it spawns. So let's spawn this thing. So all we have to do is throw down each of the items, and then it should do it on its own, I guess. Oh, they're gone. And there it is. We've just revived another extinct creature, the cow. We're gonna lure you back to your brand new home, Mr. Cow, where you will spend the rest of your days enclosed in a fence. Sorry, but the rest of the world, as you can see, isn't ready for you yet. And now you're stuck. Have fun. Let's go make a friend for our cow. Another spirit of birthing, gray petal, brown petal, and an egg. Come on, altar, do your thing. Give me a cow. Oh, this one's a regular one. Nice. Follow me. Oh, we did a cool spin. That's a cool trick. We got some extra hay bales here, so why not make them into wheat and have ourselves a little cow baby. Oh, and we got some spirits of birthing. Not bad. Oh, there we go. I thought he got stuck for a little bit. Well, we have chickens over here. We have cows over there. But why stop at just 2 types of animals? I say we go big or go home. Let's spawn ourselves some pigs. In fact, where do we draw the line on what we should and shouldn't spawn? There are so many options. Well, if I'm going to spawn all of these animals, then I think I'm going to have to build a few more pens. I'll just go ahead and place these pens at random. Don't have to be too fancy about it. To spawn these animals, I am going to need a few variations of mystical botany flowers, so let's just go ahead and spawn these. And I think that's a decent assortment right there. Just go ahead and pick them up, put them in our little flower pouch. Such a useful tool, by the way. Alright, we got a perfect assortment here. To spawn the pig, we're going to need some red and pink. In case you weren't paying attention last time, it's as simple as just dropping the items right onto the altar, and then we have a pig. There's something different about this pig. I don't know what it is, but he looks like extra HD. Am I crazy? Also, I don't have a carrot on me, and they're not enticed by wheat. No, it's carrots only. Okay, well, we have to push you into the pen. Come on, buddy. The sun is already setting. I want to go home. Fine. Be that way. I'll be back for you later. Next morning, and the pig faithfully waited for me, so I guess he gets a couple of brownie points in my book. Come on. Welcome to your new home, friend. We'll go ahead and spawn you a partner, and, well, get comfortable. Welcome to the world. See, you look more normal. I guess this pig looked weird because he wasn't as pink as the regular pigs. I think you're the vanilla texture. And now I pronounce you pig and pig. Enjoy. We have pigs, we have chickens, we have 3 of the 4 Minecraft staples when it comes to farming. We're missing the last one, the legendary Minecraft sheep. It's a simple recipe, another spirit of birthing, more pink petals, this time a white petal, and once again, an egg. And there's sheep number 2. Alright, let's go, you two. How did you escape? How did you both escape? How did all 3 of you escape? Oh, I forgot to block this up. I hate when they do this. Oh, I didn't mean to hit you. I'm so sorry. There. Make a little sheep. Alright, as for the pigs here, he seems to be an appreciator of fauna and flora, aren't you? I gotta be careful about how I get them inside. Don't want to hit them like I did with the sheep. One at a time. Single file. Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, we have successfully created the perfect zoo. We have some chickens, we have cows. It's more of a petting zoo than an actual zoo, but we could make it an actual zoo. Let's move on to the next task. I think we accomplished this one pretty well. The next task is where things get a little darker. It's called blood magic. So you can probably assume what this entails. One of the first things we have to make is called a soul snare. Then we gotta craft a blood altar. It's quite the change of pace from all the fun farming that we've been doing these last few minutes, but I'm sure there's a reason we gotta do all that. To make the soul snare, we first have to craft a token of sorrow, which requires that we have to put down one of our cute cuddly animals. Now personally, I don't have any problems with this, although it seems a little counterproductive from a logical point of view since we're trying to reintroduce life back into this world. Okay, I have all of the ingredients here in my hotbar. Let's put together a token of sorrow. Some glass, bottled sunlight, a ghast tear, chicken, gold leaf, and a fish. And this should give us our long sought after token of sorrow. They don't look that sad. They look kind of plain, to be honest. We have the token of sorrow. Now all we have to do is make the soul snares. Making the soul snare is pretty simple. You put your tokens of sorrow in the center, and then a piece of string in each corner. And with that, you get 4 soul snares for each crafting. We have the soul snare. Now we have to make the next item. This one is called a blood altar, and I recognize every ingredient except one. Demon will. We need demon will, and the only way to do that is by throwing a soul snare at a monster right before we slay it. So let's go find a husk. Lord knows there are plenty of them. Alright, so far I don't see any. This better not be like one of those times where when you don't need something, it's all over the place, and then when you finally do need it, it's nowhere to be found. Like, these husks are usually abundant, especially during rainstorms, and oh my god, that's bright. Why is it so bright now? Okay, on my map I see some entities up this way. Hopefully they're husks. I'm wandering for a while, and I have yet to find one. This is actually insane. Oh, the rain stopped. That's good, I guess. I hear a spider. Where is the spider noise coming from? Ah! There you are. There you are. Oh, it's so dark down here. Ah, I missed. Did I get it? I didn't get anything. What the? Do they not count as monsters? Well, I just wasted 2 soul snares on a spider. I didn't get anything for it, so I'm never doing that again. Try the husks. If only they would spawn. The sun is setting. We're gonna see some monsters now. There we go. Perfect. Got you. And I got your soul. There's no moon. There's another one. And now we got 2. Perfect. I think we only need 1. Alright, we got 3. Plus, we got an achievement for tools. Can we actually craft tools with this? Looks like we can. But we gotta stay focused. Okay, let's go ahead and craft ourselves. This is what I'm talking about, man. This is what I'm talking about. Now I don't need a husk, and now they're all over the place. All exits closed, secured. Time to craft. And the crafting recipe is pretty simple for something that's going to get a little complicated. At least I think it's going to get complicated. There's the blood altar. Now that we have such a grisly looking device, where are we going to put this? Nowhere near where we have all of our beautiful stuff. I say we isolate this somewhere where this dark magic will take place. Maybe over here. Perfect. Alright, so we got the blood altar empty. I wonder what kind of liquids go in there. For completing the task, blood magic, we get 100 XP, more soul snares, and a book. The Sanguine Scientium. I think that's how you pronounce that last word. And once again, it looks like we're going to have a lot of stuff to craft and a lot of stuff to read because there are multiple pages and chapters and items, and that looks like a really cool helmet. How do I get back to that? But as long as we stick to our trusty roadmap, everything will be fine. Now we have to craft something called a blank slate. But before we can do that, we have to make a sacrificial knife. Shouldn't be too difficult to make based off of the crafting recipe. Some gold, iron, and then the blade is made out of glass. Must be some type of odd blade for it to be made out of glass. Just a prick of the finger will suffice. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and see how true that is. Ow! Well, we got some blood in there. Why is it decreasing? Where did it go? Did it just evaporate? Okay, as you can see, the number of life essence is being depleted. I don't know why, so we're probably going to have to read this book to figure it out. So now that we have the knife, the next thing we have to do is complete the task known as blank slate. To do that, we have to craft a few blocks along with another item called a blank slate. I'm assuming that the reason we need these blocks is to create a tier 2 blood altar. The blocks we need are called blank runes, and they look kind of expensive. Guess we gotta make the blank slate first. Stone into the altar. I got 14 stone in my hotbar. It's time to infuse it with a little blood. Now I'm a little concerned that if I overdo it, I may accidentally end my own life while attempting this quest. So we have to be very careful about our blood level when we do this. Okay, something is happening here. I think I see the infusion taking place. The number of blood is going down, but the block has particles around it. There it is. One blank slate. And with that, we've unlocked new recipes as well. We're going to claim the rewards for crafting the blank slate, which is 4 more blank slates. Don't think of this as black magic. Think of this as making a donation to your local blood drive. It's obviously going to be donated to a greater cause, that being the pursuit of power. The next thing we have to craft are blood orbs. That's going to take 2,000 LP, which is basically what they call the blood, and a mana pearl. It took a while, but I finally have the mana pearls. Each one requires 2,000 essence. That is expensive. Should probably make some golden apples. Making the blood orbs was a very harmful, expensive process, and it took some time. In fact, I ended up spending the entire night making these things. By the next morning, my entire hotbar was full of these weak blood orbs. Okay, I finally have everything to craft the blank runes. Cost me a lot of blood, but I have all of the orbs. Let's go ahead and craft some expensive blocks. Alright, so I gotta make 8 of these. At least that's what the quest is saying. So we'll start with 1, 2... I only had to make 1? I thought it was gonna consume the item. Wait, look at this. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my god. Had I known. What am I gonna do with all of these? Well, I'm sure there were those of you who were yelling at your screen when I was making all of these orbs. I didn't know. And now I do. Well, we're gonna go ahead and store these away for now. Don't know what I'm gonna do with all of them, but just in case we lose one, I guess we'll have a spare. Spares, I mean. I don't know the details of how these altar upgrades work, but I'm just gonna follow the crafting recipe and hope it all goes well. Now we're gonna craft something called a speed rune. It's gonna make up the base of our altar. And now that we have the speed rune, let's go see how this altar upgrade's actually gonna function. I'm gonna go ahead and break this up. And, well, the first upgrade is pretty simple. All we have to do is place the blocks in a 3x3 pattern. And then in the gaps, we'll put the speed runes. I'm guessing it's going to speed up the process of everything involving the blood altar. Now we'll place the blood altar on top. And I honestly don't know if it's level 2. I guess this is tier 2. There's only one way to find out. Now that we've made the altar and made the level 1 slates, now we have to make level 2 slates. And to make a tier 2 slate, all you have to do is drop a tier 1 slate in 2,000 LP. Alright. This altar is full of blood, almost at capacity. First, I'll make the level 1 slate. Shouldn't take too long, especially because we have the speed runes now. Alright, and now the level 2 slate. Come on. Here we go. Doesn't seem that much faster. Alright, we got the reinforced slate, tier 2. And as a reward, we get 2 more tier 2 slates. Alright, friends, we made tier 1, we made tier 2. It's only natural that we take it a step further and make tier 3. As soon as I make tier 3, you're about to find out why exactly I'm putting so much time into this. To make a tier 3, we have to dip one of these things in 5,000 life points. I better get started. Oh wait, no, we have 5,000 exactly. Neat. Oh wait. I forgot it's not going to work because we need a level 3 altar. This one is level 2. Fine. What does a level 3 altar even look like? Oh my goodness. Okay, that's a lot of blocks. I don't think that entire setup is going to fit right here. So to make all those blocks, we are going to need a ton of slates, and honestly, I'm getting a little tired of having to use my own blood for this process. It takes too long, it's painful, and did I mention it takes too long? Thankfully, the mod creators knew this would be a problem, so they came up with a solution. The Dagger of Sacrifice allows us to collect plenty of blood from anything other than ourselves. So let's go ahead and make one. I have this iron sword that's on the verge of breaking and exactly the right amount of life essence, so I'm just gonna go ahead and dip this in there and watch something old be made anew. In a matter of seconds, this decrepit old iron sword was transformed into a beautiful Dagger of Sacrifice. Look at that. And thankfully, we have a nice supply of donors who are ready to assist us in our blood magic. Hello, friends. The chicken population is out of control, so we're gonna have to correct that. Oh, they have to stand 2 blocks close to the altar. Well, it's time to invent the cage. To make a cage, all you need are 3 iron ingots, 2 bars, and of course, a nice little bed of slabs. Now let me get a good night's sleep, and then tomorrow, we'll show our chickens their new home. Alright, so I think it's as simple as just clicking the chicken. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, get back in there. Okay, oh, you can even see them in the cages, that's so cool. Well, that was fast. That's it? Only 300? The chickens only give you 300. So what if I were to sacrifice something bigger, like a cow? We can't go crazy killing the cows because we only have 4 of them. No, wait, we have more than 4, actually. We have 6. Oh, it can only be small animals. I'm not going to do that to a baby. Frankly, it was faster when I did it myself, so I think we're just going to go back to doing that. Although if I want it to be a little faster, I'm going to have to make some golden apples. Thank God we have the apple orchard, although I'm still upset that we couldn't figure out the bees. Well, I shouldn't say we. I couldn't figure out the bees. One day we'll get it. That's really not that many. Alright, now that beautiful regeneration's kicking in. Here we go. Okay, let's make 20 more rune slates. And then the last thing we need to complete this altar is some glowstone. I don't think we've ever made glowstone yet. Although to make glowstone dust, we're gonna need plenty of gunpowder. Thankfully, we don't have to kill creepers because we have the power of mana infusion. All we gotta do is take this flint, dip it into the mana pool, and with that, 5 free gunpowder. Okay, so we got our gunpowder. It's time to use a tool we haven't visited in a while, the distillery. Grab some blaze powder. That's about it. These two are going to combine, and in a few seconds, we're going to have ourselves some beautiful glowstone dust. And here it is, 2 pieces of glowstone dust. I think we're going to need a little more gunpowder. Now, I don't plan on breaking each block of gravel to get flint. That's taking way too long. Thankfully, there is another way. We'll just pop these into the millstone, and eventually, they should give us 16 pieces of flint. And now that we have them, let's go ahead and upgrade the altar. I'm gonna have to demolish what I have, which is a shame because this thing is nearly full with blood. What a waste. Alright, I'm not gonna put it here because the setup for that pedestal is, it's an eyesore, to be honest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I believe this is supposed to be elevated 1 block off the ground. Fill in the gaps with the blank runes. And then the runes for the rest of the gaps on the lower level. And lastly, the glowstone. I'll put the blood altar on, and that should be level 3. I hope this is how you properly build it. Alright, the blood altar is nearly full. I think now we can level up this slate. Looks like it's working because you can see that the blood level is drastically dropping. Finally, we're going to have a very important item, and I'm about to tell you why. This is an imbued slate. Tier 3, essentially. And now that we have Tier 3, we can finally make a very valuable resource. One that's going to allow us to produce a ton of the mystical agriculture seeds. This is known as osmium, and the only way to get it is by offering an iron ingot with an imbued slate right here at the offering table. We'll place the iron ingot right here, drop the imbued slate, and now we wait. Alright, the reaction is complete. Where is the item? Seriously, where's the item? Oh, it's right there. It's always in a different spot every time. Alright, we got osmium. This is huge, and let me tell you why. You see all these resource seeds? Well, I can't really make that many. I could, but it's very time consuming because I have to make the tertium essence. And we all know what a process it is to make tertium essence. But with this tool right here, we can make all of the tertium we want. It's called a metallurgic infuser, and all we needed to make it was one osmium ingot. This gives us the fancy block known as the metallurgic infuser. All we have to do is figure out a way to power it, and we should be set. Now, I believe we have a furnace generator over here. I wonder if this would work for the metallurgic infuser. Let's just take some logs real quickly before the monsters come out. Burn them in the fire right there, and I see power. This is looking pretty good, guys. Alright, so the first thing we're going to make in this infuser is prudentium. First, we're going to have to collect some inferium. That's going to be our fuel. Next, we're going to need some essence, which I have here. Doesn't matter which kind. This one is earth, and we're also using air. I'm going to dump the inferium into this slot right here. As you can see, it's contributing to, I guess this is like a fuel tank or something. Then we add, let's just say air essence, and now we wait. Shouldn't take too long. And like that, we have prudentium. Simple, easy, hassle-free, and it hardly used any of the inferium that we have. Compared to the old process where we had to dump all of these into a teensy-weensy little cauldron along with 3 essence, it just took way too long. For the next few minutes, I waited for the prudentium to amass. That way I could move on to the next recipe, making the tertium. So I got my prudentium essence. But how do we upgrade it to tertium? Well, first we have to get some iron and convert it into infused ingots. I think 5 should be more than enough. Then you take the ingots, you dump them in the mana pool, and you get the mana steel. Now that we have the mana steel, we're going to convert them into nuggets. And with said nuggets, we're going to dump all of the inferium that we have. It's not much. Replace it with our prudentium. Now we're going to drop the mana steel into the slot. The product of this process is some expensive tertium dust. Gone are the days of having to perform this convoluted ritual with the runic altar at the cost of a ton of mana. Cannot believe we actually made it this far, but now we can automate a few plants. The question is, which one do I want to automate? Now I could spend the rest of the video making seeds, but I think we've seen plenty of that already. With the remaining days that we have left, I think it's time we take on a new project. One project that once again focuses on our island. Truthfully, I can't help but feel that we've neglected our little island. While we've made progress on the other side of the river, all we've done here is make a mediocre path and spawn a few animals. And in my opinion, that's nowhere near enough. So to brighten this island up, we're gonna add something new. A tree. But not just any tree. In the center of this island, we are going to add the biggest tree this world has seen by far. If you've played Elden Ring, then I'm sure you're well aware of the Erd Tree. This massive tree of light that stands in the center of the world. It's supposed to be the embodiment of life and order in that land. So, I say we build a similar tree in our world. Why not? One of the tougher aspects is recreating its bright, glowing look. I could start by building it out of stripped birch logs, but I don't know, they don't really look that golden. Of course, this color is a lot closer to the Erd Tree than that of a regular spruce log. If I add a torch, no, it's not really gold, but we'll make it work somehow. Alright, let's make a ton of logs. And just a disclaimer, I may take a few liberties with the design. It's not going to be an exact one-to-one faithful recreation, but you can rest assured that when you look at it, you'll have an idea that it's inspired by the Erd Tree. Start simple by stripping the logs. Okay, I may need one of those Minecraft circle generators. Okay, this has got to go right here. We'll get rid of this. Here is the base of the Erd Tree. It's, doesn't look like much right now, but give it some time. Alright, took a little trial and error, but we finally have a setup that will strip these logs because doing it here at the cutting board was taking way too long. So it's as simple as just dropping them in the hopper, and then they get processed through the sawmill, which has a filter that only strips them. They go into the next hopper, and then here they are, ready to be collected. Simple, easy, efficient. After that, all I had to do was place down a bunch of logs. You'd think it'd take a really long time, but if you can click fast enough, you'd be surprised to see how quickly you can build upward. Okay, I think this is tall enough. I'd say we are pretty high up. All you need to know is that that's a long way down. I also changed the seasons, which is why everything looks purple down there. It's about the leaves. The leaves have to be gold, and when I changed the season, the golden leaves that we have down there, they look extra gold, at least during the season of winter. And this is a setting I was able to change in my shaders. Nothing to do with the actual game, it's just a visual option. So yeah, the shader is now set to its winter setting so that we can get gold leaves. Now we have to make this full of leaves. How exactly do we do that? We're going to plant a bunch of saplings, we're going to grow them into regular trees, and then we're going to use the gold powder to transform them into golden leaves. We're going to use hawthorn trees, since they seem to be the biggest so far. And basically the idea is that we plant them so close together that they start to fill out the entire circle. Then I'm going to make these branches out of these beams here, and hopefully it'll fill out nicely. This is probably the most terrifying thing I've done in this mod pack. One small misstep, and it's over. Extending the branches outward in every direction, that way we have a little platform to grow the trees on. Kind of already started over there in that direction. See, so basically the trees are going to grow on each arm in every direction, and hopefully we can fill them in. So this is the progress we have so far. As you can see, the branches are taking shape, and they're almost ready for the saplings to be planted on top of them. I just have a little problem. I'm all out of material, so I'm going to have to go back down to get some more. And yes, I am taking a ladder to the bottom. I did have a staircase going on inside of this tree, but it just became too much work making spiral staircases with slabs at this height. So, good old ladders, they never fail to let you down. No pun intended. As for the view from down here, it's coming together. The branches do look a little thin for the thickness of the actual tree stump. Although this is nothing to be concerned about, as we do have our handy-dandy little sawmill right here making all the logs we need. Eventually, I started planting a ton of hawthorn saplings on the branches. Once they started to grow, they would really fill out the air. I gotta say, I was pretty happy with the way the branches were coming out. Tried to make them a little curvy, you know, so they looked a little more natural. Then I took the fibers and added them to the leaves so they could convert to a nice gold color. Well, friends, there it is, the Erd tree, or at least the Erd tree's little brother. One thing I do regret is not being able to recreate the glowing aspect of the Erd tree. It shows a lot more at night than it does during the day, but that's just the result of the shader that we have. If I switch the shader to, let's say, complementary reimagined, well, you can see that the trunk is a lot brighter, but the leaves, they don't maintain their gold color. They're back to the original greenish color of the golden leaves. But let's take a closer look. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think the trunk could use a little work. Right now, the vibe that this is giving me is atomic bomb mushroom cloud. That's exactly what it looks like. You just have this giant column going straight up into the sky and then just a mushroomed dome on top. It definitely needs a lot of work, but this is a step in the right direction. We have the foundation. I love the way the branches came out. I think the branches look amazing, to be honest. Alright, I swap back to the original shaders that I've been using. This is, it's gonna take a while. Okay, we made it. And as you can see, the leaves are nice and golden, thanks to the shader that I have on. This is the color I would love to have maintained consistently throughout the entire playthrough, but unfortunately, that's just a lighting thing. So, it looks like we're in a small forest, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Let's climb on this tree that didn't convert properly. Ooh, as you can see, it is a long way down. I feel really bad for breaking through the leaves. And when you climb the trees, you just enter a completely different world. It's all golden orange. Let's see if we can get any higher. Actually, let's climb out to one of the branches. This is where things get a little sketchy and where the illusion falls apart. About right here, you can see that each tree is its own plant, with the stumps not even matching the color of the tree branch. But that's okay. You can't see any of that when you're way down there. Aside from that, that is going to be it for this video. We revived animals, we upgraded our base, we even built a massive Erd tree. We really have to figure out how to automate the dirt spreading with this herbivorous absorber. This thing is a big deal, and the fact that the dirt spread a lot shows me that we can actually fully revive this world. But if we look at our map, you can see that there's a lot more green now than there was before, which is pretty impressive. Well, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you want another one, don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to leave a hype, and above all else, be sure to comment what your favorite part was in the video. Thank you for watching. This has been Doublesal. Have a great day.